Hola, amigos y amigas. Uh, it's time for a very special episode of Blue Review. I want to talk about a longtime favorite of mine that not long ago I would have probably thrown on the extreme forgotten pile. But it actually did come out with a legit mainstream Blu-ray release. And so this will be a proper Blu-ray review. And this was made possible by our new permanent channel patron, what that was, Sean Lee Levin. Sean Lee Levin, who was gracious enough to gift the channel with this item. So let's see, what is it? Bury Me an Angel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this or are into biker films. That's another subgenre I kind of dig. It's not one of my favorites, but it's fun, and occasionally I go on a little spree and watch 2 or 3 or 4 of them. This center spread, this is DIxie Peabody as the character Dag. This is kind of a iconic, I guess, still from the film. She was obviously a real life biker, and there's several shots of her doing this where she's holding the handlebars, but then she's got her feet up all the way, like she's a tall woman. So, and then there's other shots where she's doing variations on that. She doesn't really look like this, kind of. She does wear pants like this. But this is a cool poster. I'm going to get my gun and bury me an angel. And she says angel, she means Hell's Angel. So, that's the premise and everything, which, is revenge, because a fellow biker kills her brother, and she goes on this quest for revenge. So, and there's lots of incredibly heavy, fuzz-drenched, nasty-sounding raw rock music playing in the background, and I love that kind of music when done right. And these are all catchy songs, and the subtitles on this Blu-ray are fantastic. They print out all the lyrics to these songs, some of which are cool and some of which are kind of nonsense. But so before I get all deep into the movie, I want to talk about the woman who made the movie, Barbara Peeters. I don't think there's not much known about her career or life past the 1990s. Hold on, I'm getting one of these weird Microsoft pop-ups. I don't know if you guys have ever had them, but they're pretty much evil incarnate. I'm just going to try to shut this one down. Oh, it's biting me. Go away. It's, yeah, it's doing weird stuff. Let me do one more thing. Okay. Bad Microsoft. Barbara Peeters worked from around 1969 to 1980 for New World Pictures, owned by Roger Corman, a master of exploitation films, both as a director and a producer. His reach extended very, very far into very, very many genres, and he was great at scouting upcoming talent, and he launched the careers of some major directors and actors. So Barbara Peeters, I guess, is not going to fall into the league of people that started with Corman, like, say, Martin Scorsese or Jack Nicholson. But her work is notable, very notable on its own, because first of all, there were only 2 women directors who worked for New World, her and Stephanie Rothman. Stephanie Rothman, her 2 most famous films are probably The Velvet Vampire, which I reviewed for Halloween past year. I did not have a proper Blu-ray copy. The Shout Factory put one out, and it went out of print quickly. This is also a Shout Factory one, and I'm glad that Sean was able to nab it for me before it shuffled off the mortal coil. Um, yes, Stephanie Rothman did Bell Vampire, which I reviewed, and she also did a movie called a prison movie called Terminal Island, which had an infamous trailer I saw uh, where Roger Mosley, later of Magnum PI fame, uh, is standing up and stepping on a woman's head, and she can't get out from under him, and he's like, "Welcome to Terminal Island, baby." And it's, I can't do it justice, but I could talk about Roger Mosley endlessly, but I won't, go too into that digression. Um, I'm gonna stick with Barbara Peeters. Stephanie Rothman and her were friends, and they worked together. There was a film that Stephanie Rothman wrote. I believe she wrote this one, Star Hops, under a pseudonym, Dallas something, and Barbara Peeters directed it. Now, Barbara Peeters only directed 5 features to date, 5 feature films, but her work in the industry is massive, mostly for New World. She was a script supervisor, she was an actress, she was a writer, she was a production assistant, she was a second unit director. She basically was the glue that held some of these movies together. And people who've examined the oeuvre of Barbara Peeters and Stephanie Rothman tend to favor Barbara Peeters' work as being a bit more psychologically complex. Now, again, we're talking about exploitation films, the 1970s, genre films, in this case, biker films, maybe that subgenre films. And a lot of people look down and sneer on these movies, sneer at these movies. But I don't. I mean, I try to meet every movie halfway, on its own terms, and glean what I can from it. And sometimes I glean a lot from movies that other people are kind of like, what the fuck? I mean, some of my close friends sometimes are like, man, I wish I'd gotten that much out of that movie. One probably watching knows exactly who I'm talking about. And that's cool. I'm weird. And uh, I keep telling my boss at work, she's like, why do you wear this flannel shirt in the summer? She's like a doting mother. I've known her for years. And I'm like, I told you I was weird. I told you. I warned you, okay? I don't have habits like regular people. So Barbara Peeters' first taste of directing feature film was one called Just the Two of Us in 1970. More well known, I guess the title that she preferred was The Dark Side of Tomorrow, which is a pretty cool title. This was done in association with New World, but it was an Israeli investor producer. And it was what he said, well, what he wanted was an X-rated sex film. So I do not know if this is a softcore porn or a hardcore porn. But from what I've read, I would class it as porn. But X went far to a lot of different movies back then and that had sex in them. So it's hard to say. I'm going to try to find a copy somehow on YouTube or Vimeo or somewhere, because now I'm curious to see this. So not Stephanie. I keep jumping back and forth in my head between Miss Barbara Peeters, the maker of Bury Me an Angel. She worked on a film called Angels Die Hard, and this one, it's one of the better ones. It's not brilliant or anything, but it's pretty cool, and it has a cool cast. William Smith, who was in a zillion of these kind of movies in the 70s, horror movies, genre movies, biker movies. R.G. Armstrong, who was a regular Sam Peckinpah's, is in it. This weird actor named Beach Dickerson. There's this kind of square-looking guy who was in a lot of, I don't really like to use this term much, but a lot of B movies, like Beast from Haunted Cave. No, I don't know if that's the one he was in. He was in basically a few movies that had to do with giant crabs or insects or whatever taking over, the aliens, coming from the sea, and I guess he was like one of the hunky heroes. I've seen all those movies, but he didn't ring a bell with me when I was researching this. Um, and this movie, we also had Dan Haggerty, an up and coming actor, who had kind of a hippie look, a big beard. Um, so these are, and there was an actress named Rita Murray involved. So this experience of Barbara Peeters working on Angel Die Hard as the script supervisor, this was a jumping off point for her. This was kind of where her career as a director proper began, and this is exactly the point where Bury Me an Angel just stated. So this chick, Rita Murray, the actress, this chick, she said she wanted to start producing for New World, and she wanted, a female director. Well, she was talking to one, her friend, Barbara Peeters. Barbara Peeters, still was like, on the spot, she came up with this premise, which I don't know what she said, but I'm assuming it was basically, it's a biker movie, and a woman's brother is killed by another biker, and she goes on a quest to revenge. Something like that. Or as the poster says, she took on the whole gang. Now that's a little double entendre there. It really actually isn't accurate. But this is the infamous description: a howling hellcat humping a hot steel hog on a roaring rampage of revenge. Bam. A dude I know reviewed this for Video Eyeball, the drive-in issue, and I had several reviews in that, and I think my review was put on like double bill. The editor was doing like double bills, to keep the drive-in theme. So he would put two reviews together, sometimes by the same writer, sometimes by others. My friend Paul Gaeta did some, and then my good friend Bill White, a few others. But yeah, a dude did Bury Me an Angel, which I would have loved to have done myself. But so Bury Me an Angel. Yeah, so she pitched this quick little synopsis to Rita Murray, and then Beach Dickerson, I guess, who was hanging out. He came in as producer, invested some money in it, and it fell under the New World Pictures aegis. And she wrote a script in a couple of days, delivered it to these people who were investing, and then boom, from there. Don't know all the details about all the casting. Mostly unknowns. Dan Haggerty and Beach Dickerson are both in this film in small roles. Beach's role is rather small. But Dan Haggerty has a significant role as this character named Ken. He's like a hippie art teacher, nomad guy that Dag encounters. So Dag, the main character, DIxie Peabody. I don't know a lot about DIxie Peabody. I did read a good bit about her like 25 years ago, but I think in Psychotronic magazine. Did any of you guys collect that? That was a cool magazine. Michael Weldon. So DIxie, right, plays Dag, and as the movie opens, they're basically just having this insane biker orgy at their house. I mean, the brother and sister's house. So her brother Dennis is played by Dennis Peabody. I'm almost certain it's a real life brother. So the siblings played siblings, and given the twist of this movie, it's kind of creepy maybe to some people, but that they did. So someone's at the door, and isn't that always the way of it? Someone's at the door, and Dennis answers it and then tries to close it, and the guy steps forward, and then a gun goes off and blows Dennis's head off. But then when he falls, his head looks kind of complete. I mean, intact. So a lot of blood. I don't know. Whoops, continuity. But And all of this action, there's no dialogue through the whole panning through this kind of orgy and the visual introduction of the siblings and then the murder. Um, no dialogue. This is all just the narrative, just done by cinema. And this nasty, snarling, fuzz laden hard rock music is blaring, and it's kind of the Greek chorus for the movie. I mean, it doesn't really have the songs don't have too many lyrics that seem to directly relate to the plot or anything, like Curtis Mayfield, for instance, did for Superfly. But and I'm not going to put the music at that level. But I like that kind of music. I dig that era. It turned up a lot in biker films. A lot of unknown bands who just a lot of them had a lot of talent. They could really play and sing and write, kind of memorable tracks, but, never got anywhere. And the songs are invariably just very raw and muddy. And I love that, that kind of proto-punk sound. When this Blu-ray opens with that scene, with the music and what's going on, what strikes me also is this is a great transfer. I've got it playing right now. It's a great transfer, and it's just the right amount of grain. It's a little cleaner than like some of the ones that have been restored by Arrow that I've reviewed. Those didn't have a lot of grain, and really look to me what I remember movies looking like in the 70s. Now, mind you, I was really, really young, so I could have kind of a weird memory, but I generally have a really good memory. And some of these films are kind of starting to look the way movies looked to me in a theater or in a drive-in when I was a wee tot. My parents used to sneak me into the drive-in. This one has a really good look like this. I mean, and it's a very plain. Parts of it are very plain. No frills, almost Herschel Gordon Lewis like. And then other parts are kind of cinematic, and interesting. It was shot on location in California, and the three main characters obviously are all real bikers. Dixie Peabody is Dag, and then she has two buddies, Jonesy. They're both kind of hippies, and Jonesy has this weird, kind of cool black hat that he wears and a vest, and then there's Bernie, who's kind of got this curly hair. He's more the good-looking guy, and they're basically like her buddies, friends, and confidants. It's all strictly platonic. So, and we'll kind of find out one reason why by the end, and it's kind of disturbing. But so she's like, I'm gonna find this guy. I remember his face. I remember what he looks like. I mean, the details are very scant. She's like, I'd know him if I saw him. So one thing that Barbara Peeters does is get really deep into the psychology of this character, and it's very dramatic, real melodramatic. Uh, DIxie is kind of just seething with drama. Almost every scene's real intense, and sometimes it's a bit much. And of course, she's kind of seems like an untutored actress, but the conviction is it seems authentic. I don't know if she's methoding it, like method acting, like what if my brother Dennis, got killed? Would I feel this way? And there's a lot of weird flashbacks. There's flashbacks to earlier in the movie itself when he's killed and the killer's face and blazoned on her mind. But then there's also flashbacks of them as kids, when Dennis was kind of an asshole and got into trouble a lot, and Dag would cover for him invariably, and he'd be like, "I love you, Dag," and then that little kid Dennis thing saying "I love you" kind of echoes through her head, and she kind of has some freak out episodes, things that trigger her, that remind her either of good times, memories with her brother, or a reminder of the murder. So she's a very disturbed woman. But she's very cool. She basically tells her mom, who just seems pretty blasé about everything, and probably that's the root of some of these problems that we later find out somewhat about. Um, Dag and her buddies go on this quest, and they don't really have too many leads. Of course, they go to a bar and have a big bar fight, and the way that's shot's pretty cool, and it's pretty brutal. And I will say one thing about Dag is she'll pretty much she she tells it like it is. I mean, she is no holds barred person. She tells you exactly what's on her mind. No social niceties or proprieties. No bullshit. No but no filter at all. And as a result, her character is actually really fun and refreshing. And you I anyway, find her kind of almost a heroic figure, maybe an anti-heroine, because she's really all about justice, and it's not just about her brother dying. I mean, whenever there's a situation when one of these encounters she has on the way to finding the killer, she's goes into some philosophical rant, for a minute or two, and they're all righteous. I mean, if Billy Jack had that much conviction, Tom McLaughlin, I'd probably buy all of the Billy Jack movies. But from what I remember, the Billy Jack tried, but it was kind of wan, kind of fat. I mean, he's a better actor technically than Dixie Peabody, but Dixie Peabody is like an angry woman, and I don't mean that in a bad way whatsoever. I used to love that research book, Angry Women. It's like she wants the world to take her seriously, and just no bullshit, no no artifice. So they go on their trip, and they go to the bar fight, and then eventually, like a few things happen. They go skinny dipping, and Dag has a flashback about being pushed under the water as a little girl, and I think it was supposed to be by her mother. Um, what I'm gleaning is like her mother abused her, and her brother was like her only solace. Maybe she abused the brother too. Um, but the brother kind of took advantage of it, you know. And but it got so powerful that now that he's dead, there's an obsession. There's a lot of really, really great traveling shots of them on the bikes, though. That's coming across the screen now. I love watching these kind of scenes. So she eventually finds a lead to, like, it starts to get cold. Like, I don't know, the seasons change. I don't know. They're on the road for months. I don't know. I mean, it's only a few days, but they cover a lot of ground. Uh, and it's just like real weird coincidental. Like, oh, you seen a guy who's 5'10" with a mustache, long black hair, who you didn't normally see around, come back up through this way. The guy's like, yeah, actually I did, and then he went this way. It's one of those that, in reality, she would have no way of tracking this guy down whatsoever. At least, with the technology back then, 1972, 71. But she's unerring and unwavering, and her buddies kind of are the comic relief, but also kind of the moral support. I mean, they're very earnest dudes, and they camp out and have campfires. And like I said, as they start going further north towards Canada, I'm not sure what state this takes place in, to be honest. I can't remember if they say or not. It might take place in California. I'm not sure, but they do say that they're going north, and they're going to. Well, they tell one of these people they're going to eventually end up in Canada, but that might be just something they're saying. But they're headed in that direction. But so apparently was the killer, and he takes this. We're told that he takes this job as like an assistant to this art teacher at a high school. like a few days work, and then, you know, uh, the art teacher is played by Dan Haggerty, and he, according to him, he's a part-time art teacher who teaches on Fridays only. Now his acting is a lot more polished than a lot of the people in here. He's a lot more easy going in front of the camera and smooth. There's also this hilarious scene where this redneck cop comes upon them at the campfire, and this guy, I mean, I would like to say that I haven't known Southern. Now, mind you, like I said, they're in California. I would like to say I haven't known Southern people who talk like this in real life, because it sounds like such a broad caricature. It's ridiculous. But I actually have met quite a few people living in North Carolina who speak in this fashion, more so in South Carolina than North Carolina. North Carolina is filled with immigrants from other parts of the country. Um, South Carolina is still very Southern. And this guy like talks all this shit to him, and finally she just like, guy just barrels into this guy and like talking, fuck you, pig, and they all start talking smack, and I like it, and especially with the current situation with law enforcement in America, it's even more gratifying. If someone said these things to a cop like that in real life, then they'd be dead. I mean, these three cats wouldn't have made it through the movie if this happened in real life. I mean, and they're white. Just think if they were black. But it's that same mentality, the same thing from the 60s. And you would like to think that, people aren't going to be calling cops pigs or saying these kind of stereotypes, 30, 40, 50 years later. But unfortunately, we've come full circle, and they're worse than ever. They're the thugs, not the people they're shooting. So whenever I see a scene in any movie, really, where someone stands up to the cop and doesn't get killed, it feels pretty good. So, but anyway, they find out this guy was teaching at the school, and he's going to be back on Monday, and I think it's Friday, and they eat at this one diner that's in town, and there's all these weird little coincidences that you find in these kind of movies, and Ken Dan Haggerty, Dan Haggerty. Did I mention earlier that he's in that he became famous doing Grizzly Adams a few years after this? That was kind of a wholesome TV show, kind of like Little House on the Prairie. Like you could show it in the afternoon in between the cartoons and syndication, and parents would flip out. But anyway, this is before that. Pre Grizzly Adams, Haggerty is a very earnest, young, hippie art teacher, and he very earnestly, kind of, maybe not so subtly, seduces Dag to coming to somewhere where he's staying and leaving her two buddies at this diner. And everybody kind of knows the deal, the way they look at each other, and they're like, "Go on, Dag," And so there's this kind of mystical, orange tinged fantasy love scene, and the both of them are totally naked, and she doesn't seem as into it. No, I don't know if that's the actress or the character, but finally the character has a freak out, and the thing that triggers her is when he's on top of her. She'll look at him, and then it'll flash to her brother's face. At first, it's just like, oh God, she's remembering her brother. It's interfering with the fantasy. But then the last cut-in shot, brother, he isn't wearing a shirt, and he's kind of leering and coming, into the camera towards the Dag. So I don't know if you guys have pieced together the twist or not yet, but I'm getting to it. Spoiled the movie for you. Some of the scenery is beautiful, and the mountains they drive through, by the way. But anyway, Finally, they track this cabin after she has a freak out on Ken and apologizes. She's like, the classic line, "It's me, not you," so make him feel better. um, I didn't mean to scare you. I mean, he's very like earnest and sensitive. Um, so of course, he would be attracted to the bad girl. That seems to be kind of the way people are a lot of times when they're young. But yeah, so after all these voyages and freakouts and bar fights and pool hall happenings, they track the dude to the cabin. They can't wait till Monday. She's like, after the freak out with Ken, she's like, okay, I'm tired of seeing my brother's face and the killer's face. Everything's fucked up. So she has a rifle, and she has managed to get a clue to where he actually is staying from the principal of the high school at gunpoint, who again she talks a lot of smack to, and it's pretty hilarious because he starts talking about how incredible it is that he's able to use authoritarianism on children. I mean, it's not subtle. And so then she's like, I bet you've shaped a lot of young minds. And just generally talks trash. And so when we encounter the guy, he's really kind of nervous and fidgety and scared. And she's like seething mad. I mean, she's just like pouring it on, man. I mean, every line is just filled with vitriol and you killed my brother. I mean, she's just completely stretched to the limits of her meager thespianism, but sometimes it snaps, but sometimes that's beautiful. I mean, sometimes it seems more real in a way, more kind of raw, impressionistic, like when Pasolini would get all these non-actors. But I enjoy stuff like that. I'm weird, and so he begs for his life, and he basically tells her that her brother stole his bike and he came to get it back. And he brought a gun just to scare her brother. But when the brother pushed, excuse me, it's not the company, I'm not bored. When the brother pushes the door to try to shut the guy out, and the guy steps back and pushes back in, the gun accidentally went off. So he reiterates, nervously over and over that it was an accident. He didn't mean to kill her brother, but he does kind of sneak in there almost like a justification. But your brother stole my bike. He needed to give it back, and finally he says something like, "Your brother was ripping off a lot of people. Someone was bound to take him down, and it just happened to be me." And he's not saying that with relish, but he's just saying it because it's a fucking fact. And so finally, he's in the corner and he's like, just kill me, just get it over with. You think he's going to start crying. But he's going to get in his last dig, and she's like, you got some little last piece of crap you want to tell me? Man, spit it out, And I love her jivey dialogue. And he's like, yeah, you and your brother were sick. You were sick, man. And she's like, just say it. And then he screams, incest. And the gun goes off twice, and one bullet goes through the window. And for some reason, Jonesy, the hippie with the hat, he starts freaking out. He has a freak out. I mean, probably the massive amounts of drugs these people are doing aren't helping with these kind of states of mind. But he has to be restrained by Bernie, the other guy, and I guess what he shouts and some of the dialogue in the subtitles doesn't really make much sense unless you interpret it as she shouldn't have killed him. He says something like murder isn't the answer. He's just frantically rolling around. Everybody's super dramatic in these scenes. I mean, they're just tearing clumps of dirt and dust flying through the air, or they're in the water and they're just flipping out, and like a blur. And it's a pretty manic film. It has a lot of energy, and that's one reason I dig it. Um, dig it. Yeah, that's how I really talk too. I'm not trying to sound like Dag, but um, so she comes out and with the butt of the rifle, she starts kind of digging at the ground and says, I got to bury him. And then she just kind of loses it. Just loses it. Just she's got the scream bubbling up, and she's just, and finally she just primal scream, and then she falls over and cut. That's the end of the movie. I don't know. I mean, first time I saw this, I rented it a long time ago. I just was surprised by it. I thought it was so different for a biker film, and you know the fact it's from a woman's point of view, and the fact that you know she's on this quest of righteousness and kind of lecturing all these stupid square mainstream people along the way, rightfully so. But yet the impetus for her quest, not just revenge because it's her brother, but because of how she was sexually involved with her brother, and that's why when he said "I love you" as a kid, it kept echoing through her mind, and she just is kind of not telling anybody that exact side of it, but that's what's triggering the freakouts. That's part of what's triggering them. You know, things that relate to intimacy or sex or nudity, vulnerability, trigger her, make her see her brother, but then, you know, sometimes other things, she'll see, you know, the killer's face juxtaposed. And the killer is not an intimidating guy. I mean, he's just some dude, you know, he's just some young biker guy with a big mustache and long hair and denim, blue denim. And so Dag is a strange character. He's kind of a fascinating character. But I think this movie, I love it because it encompasses the whole spectrum of tropes that you're going to find in an exploitation film of that era. Not just biker films, but, well, specifically biker films, but just the era as far as depicting counterculture types and hippies and bikers and freaks and, you know, kind of a, you know, it kind of is. I think it's one of the movies that it more closely evokes the spirit of Easy Rider than a lot of biker movies that came after. Now, some biker film aficionados might be like, "You're insane, man," you know. And then they'll tell me, you know, that Angels Hard as They Come and, you know, Born Losers and all those are much closer to the spirit of what Dennis Hopper intended. I don't agree with that, though. I didn't say this was exactly like Easy Rider, but I think it does. It has that freewheeling spirit that gets kind of corrupted, you know, by authority. In this case, the character's own personal demons. And again, it's a woman character and it's a woman writer director. So I find this movie unique among the canon of the biker film and one of the more entertaining and interesting films that Roger Corman and New World put out during that period. It's very distinctive. You're not going to really forget it once you see it. You might not like it. You might think some of this stuff is crazy. I mean, you might laugh at some of the overacting and the freak outs, but that's okay too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having fun watching a movie. I mean, you know, I can look at it seriously or comically. You know, I got range, man. I can turn on a dime here. So let's bury me an angel. I'm going to say a couple of more things about Barbara Peeters before I sign off. So the movie that Barbara Peeters is really most known for is Humanoids from the Deep. So she made this movie. It finally was released in 1980. So in 1979, she's making this movie, and Roger Corman wanted to spice up this story she had of these, you know, reptilian kind of amphibious gill men, you know, plural for gill man, aka the creature from the Black Lagoon, that kind of creature. These reptilian monsters sexually assaulting women, and you know, I don't know for sure, but from what I've read, Barbara Peeters didn't really shoot the actual graphic scenes. it's more like implied old school, like the fish man carried away our women. Um, but Roger Corman's like, damn it, I want to show what happens after they carry him away. I want to show it, everything. And they're pretty graphic, and either he directed it or got someone to direct it, but I'm sure he was kind of observing. And but what's funny about that is those are some of the coolest scenes in the movie, not because they involve rape, but because they're just over the top and crazy, and the effects are good. I mean, the fish creatures look great, and the whole just that whole concept of that miscegenation. Uh, that's a long time concept in science fiction. Very long time. Either it doesn't have to be rape; it can be like mutual consenting love, like Philip Jose Farmer's The Lovers. But basically, two different species having sex. I mean, look at The Shape of Water. That's the exact same plot. Like, it was consensual, but exact same kind of creature with a woman, and it won like 50 Oscars. And okay, it won like 5 or 6 Oscars, but and that movie was generally well received critically, but they're definitely it definitely has not. In time, I've heard more people who became kind of disenchanted with it. And I understand that about movies, and so Barbara Peeters got pissed off about this mutilation of her film and wanted her name taken off. I don't know if she wanted it to be like Alana Smithy or whatever, but Corman's like, no. So she quit, and that was that after 12 years at New World. And she got sick, physically ill for like a year. I haven't read specifically with what. But when she came back into work, she went back into television. She had dabbled in television in the 70s. She was I want to get this title right because it was kind of production assistant for Soul Train, 1973 to 1974. That's pretty cool. But yeah, in the 80s, she directed a lot of like episodes of a lot of series that are forgotten now, and or when remembered, they're jeered at. I mean, I was a TV junkie during that period, so I remember all of them. And even when I kind of gave up on television when I was 16 for quite a while, we didn't have cable, so I just took my TV out of my room and put it in the kitchen, gave it to my mom. I just listened to music and read books and comics. I was sick of ABC, NBC, CBS by the time I was 16, and I never looked back, to be honest, unless you count a few anomalies like Twin Peaks or Hannibal. But yeah, I mean, real stupid shows like Legacy of Matthew Power or the Powers of Matthew Starr, or whatever. Some kid who's an alien superhero. Matt Houston, I can't remember that actor's name. Lee Horsley, I think. He might have been on Dynasty for a little bit. I can't believe I'm remembering all these, but the most notable series that have kind of kept a following that she directed a good number of episodes for were Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan, and the late night Friday night soap opera Falcon Crest, which had some interesting cast members like John Saxon, for instance. So yeah, and then I don't know what happened to Barbara Peeters, but she made her mark, and I just wanted to kind of devote an episode to this movie and to her, and wherever you are, Barbara Peeters. I really love Bohemian Angel. I love the character of Dag. It's inspired a character in Flicker Street that I've had kind of as just a background character, pastiche like character for a while. But recently, I've been having these. Okay, they didn't happen to me, right? They happened to these characters. I've been having these flashbacks, these scenes have been coming to me that are flashbacks of this character in the 70s during this kind of era. And then back to the present, where we find out that two of our main characters, she was actually their mother of both of them, and abandoned them. So yeah, but anyway, I hope to draw that character at some point, and yes, I'm going to use some reference of DIxie Peabody. So thanks for listening. Appreciate the likes on the boys / Ms. Marvel video. The Thief video hasn't gotten much attention yet, but that's okay. People will come around. The James Caan fans will eventually find me on YouTube. So to help me get through all this and be found, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe thing either down below, or I'm going to put the icons on this end of this video sometime. Not tonight, but sometime soon. I'm a few videos behind on doing that. So like, subscribe, you can share, tell your friends about it. You can donate to me through my PayPal, donate material like this that Sean Lee Levin did directly to the channel, or help me with my survival fund, which is, yeah, I've been in dire straits financially for about how many months is it now? 3-4 months at least. And it's not letting up. You know, it's one thing after another. But I do have a more stable job. But unfortunately, because of all these health problems that I talked about a few videos back, I can't really ask for more than 20, 25 hours at the most. I mean, I could ask for more hours at the state I'm in now, but I can barely work. I can barely work a 5-hour shift standing up right now. I mean, you know, I use pain medicine. That's the only thing that does it, but that's not going to last forever. I see my doctor on August 8th, so hopefully I can get this stuff sorted. But outside of work, I will say that between rest and a little exercise and curbing some of my eating in the last week or so, in general, my back is doing better in the area that's locked up and messed up. But certain ways I move are agony, and there's a certain way I move that's really agony, and unfortunately, it's a way that I have to move repeatedly at my job. So, yeah. All right. So anyway, guys, thank you. I got more ahead. I got some Extreme Forgotten stuff for you. I got all these new Blu-rays that I'm going to review, and who knows what else. So thank you, and take care of yourselves.